Enabling Office 365 services. Exam Ref 70-347. Objective 2.2. Create SharePoint site collection. This objective deals with creating and managing SharePoint site collections. To master this objective, you'll need to understand how to configure a user as a site collection administrator, how to configure resource quotas, how to apply storage quotas, and other aspects of managing site collections within SharePoint Online. This objective covers the following topics: site collection administrators, resource quotas, configure public website, set a storage quota for site collection, and manage site collections. Understanding site collection administrators. Site collection administrators are users who have permission to manage SharePoint Online at the top of a specified site collection. A site collection administrator has permissions over all content in the site collection, including all subsites. Each site collection is a separate permissions root. For example, a site collection that has the URL Contasso 347er-sharepoint.com /size-research does not have the same permission at the site collection contasso-sharepoint.com. A site collection has only one primary administrator but can have multiple site collection administrators. A primary site collection administrator receives administrative email alerts for the site collection. So here is the all the sites, the site collections within this SharePoint Online tenancy. Notice that if we select any of these sites, then we have a number of options over here, and one of those options is the owners of the site. So if you click on this owners link or option over here, you have two options. You can manage administrators, or you can add a support partner. And support partner is basically for someone outside the company that you want to delegate some kind of permission. So once you click on the manage administrator options, then here you can see the administrators. It is important to notice that here, for example, the security groups are not supported. So for the primary collection administrator, you can only use user accounts. You cannot use a security group. And there can only be one primary site collection administrator. And on the site collection administrator, obviously, you can add multiple users, but again, you have to use individual user accounts. Understanding resource quotas. Server resources are a numerical way of representing server resources, including RAM and CPU utilization. Each SharePoint Online deployment is allocated a server resource figure based on the number of user licenses. This server resource figure is shared across all site collections. You can view the amount of resources available for a site collection on the site collection pages, which I'm going to in the next slide. So here is basically on my tenancy, here's all the site collections, and basically you can look at the resource quota for a site basically right here. And this is something that you can configure, or you can set it to configure automatically. Organizations that have customized site collections or sandboxed solutions can use resource quotas to ensure that resources such as server, CPU, and RAM aren't exhausted across the tenancy. If the number of resources used in a 24-hour period exceeds the resources available, SharePoint Online turns off the sandbox. When the sandbox is turned off, custom code will not run. The sandbox will be turned back on when the 24-hour period expires and the resource number is reset. By applying resource quotas to specific collections, administrators can ensure the custom code running in a specific site collections does not deplete all server resources assigned to the tenancy. Purchasing extra user licenses will increase the overall resource collection to the tenancy. To set up the server resource quota, you basically come to the site collections. You select the site for which you want to configure the server quota, and then you click on the server quota options right here. This will bring you to the server to set the server resource quota. And so basically here you can put the numerical number you want to use. And again, so this is a numerical representation. You can see over here the resources that are available, so that you know what to do. And you can configure here to send an email when a percentage of the selected site collection resource usage reaches a warning level. So basically what you want to avoid is that one site would uses all the available resources. And once you configure your site, then basically you just click on save. Using SharePoint online public websites. SharePoint online public websites were a feature that allowed organizations to create an online presence accessible to clients on the internet without requiring authentication. As of March 2015, the SharePoint Online public website feature was not available to new Office 365 customers. Existing Office 365 customers will be able to use the SharePoint Online public website feature until March 2017. While this feature appears in the current 70-347 exam objectives, the feature becoming unavailable means that items related to it will be withdrawn from the exam. Setting a storage quota for site collection. A storage quotas determine how much storage space can be used. Office 365 tenancies are allocated an amount of storage space for SharePoint Online based on the number of users associated with the tenancy. The amount of storage space allocated to SharePoint Online uses the formula 10 gigabyte plus 500 megabyte per user. For example, if an organization has 40 users associated with its Office 365 tenancy, the amount of storage space allocated to SharePoint Online is 10 plus 500 megabyte times 40, which is basically 20 gigabyte. It's possible for organizations to purchase additional storage on top of this initial allocation, and as needed. Additional storage is allocated on a gigabyte per month basis. A site collection can be allocated a maximum of 1 terabyte of storage. So you can basically select all your sites in the site collection, and then here you can see the amount of storage that is available and the amount that it has been used. Pooled storage model. The pooled storage model is a feature of SharePoint Online introduced in 2015. The pooled storage model allows SharePoint Online to manage the storage automatically rather than storage management being a task performed manually by an administrator. the pool storage model will be the default setting for new subscription created after late 2015. So it's already in place. If your organization has an existing Office 365 subscription, will need to enable the pool storage model manually. When you do this, SharePoint Online removes the existing limits that you have configured for site collections and reset the limits to 1 terabyte. So if you go to the SharePoint Admin Center and you click on Settings, and you scroll down until you find the Site Collection Storage Management. In my tenancy is set to automatic, so that limits will be removed, but you can set it to manual, and you can go ahead and basically just set those settings manually. Per site collection and storage management. So again, you can leave it automatic, or you can do it manually. The default option for Office 365 tenancies created before mid-2015 was that storage management occur on a per site collection basis. But if you have switched to the pool storage model and want to switch back, or have an Office 365 tenancy created after mid-2015, then you can switch to the site collection and storage management by performing basically the steps that we just talked about. So in this example, again, the storage, notice that it goes back to the steady, instead of the 1 terabyte, that means that this is set manually. And so basically you select the site that you want to configure, and then you click on the storage quota. And then once you do that, then you come to this window, and here you can set the storage quota. So if you want to put, in this case, 5 gigabyte for the site, and again, so you can send an email to site collection administrator when a site collection storage reaches a certain percentage limit, or limit percentage. So if you want to create a new site, then on the site collections, you just basically come to this option over here and you click on new, and then you're going to be presented with a number of options. So you have to obviously have a title, which is the name of the website, the website address. It's important that you make an address that it is easy to understand and not use spaces. The template selection is extremely important because once you basically the template selection allows you to select which template to use for the site collection. Available templates are separated across the following categories. You can have collaboration, enterprise, publishing, and custom. You also use this section to select a language from a drop-down list. Choosing the correct language is this storage at this stage of the process is critical because it is not possible to alter the language selection for the site collection after the collection is created. You can enable SharePoint's multiple language interface on a site collection, but the primary language will always be the one selected during the site creation. Time zone, it's also important depending on where your users are. Administrator, you use this option to specify the administrator of the site collection. You can either type the username or browse for a site collection administrator, and you can alter the site collection administrator after the creation of the site. The storage quota, it uses the option to specify the storage quota in gigabyte for the site collection, again up to a maximum value of 1 terabyte. And the server resource quota, you use this option to specify the resources that you want to allocate to the site collection in terms of available resources. Resources are a combination of performance metrics related to the execution of code for sandbox solutions. And so again, here is the new site collection. Again, you need to fill out, the title. We talked about the web address. Um, some company use the site prefixes in all sites, and then after this, you may use per department, for example. It depends on what kind of a strategy you use in your company. And here are all the different templates and the categories over here that we just talked about. Time zone, the administrator, and the other properties related to the new site creation. Delete site collection. As part of ensuring that data stored on SharePoint Online is not retained past the point where no one is using it, you will occasionally need to delete site collection. For example, you might want to delete a site collection used for a specific project that has long since ended. Site collections that you delete are moved to the recycle bin. You will read more about the recycle bin later on the next slide. Deleting a site collection deletes the site hierarchy hosted within the site collection, and it also deletes a whole bunch of stuff regarding the site, including the documents and document libraries, lists and lists data, site configuration settings, site and sub-site role and security information, and a whole bunch of other properties. So again, deleting a site is as simple as coming into the site collections in the SharePoint Admin Center, select the site, and then just click on delete, follow the instructions, and the site will be gone. Now, restore deleted site collection. When you delete a SharePoint Online site collection, it is moved to the recycle bin for 30 days before it is purged. If you need a site collection restored after this 30-day period has elapsed, then you have an additional 14 days in which you can have Microsoft perform the restoration through a service request. And so if you click on the recycle bin, you'll see a list of all the sites that have been deleted. Here you will see the date in which it was deleted and also how many days you have remaining. So it is as simple as just selecting the site and then clicking on restore. You can restore a deleted site collection under the following circumstances. First, the site collection has been in the recycle bin for less than 30 days. If it's more than that, remember you need to open a service request with Microsoft. The usage quota for the SharePoint Online tenancy has not been exceeded. So this is critical. If you delete a site and then you create a whole bunch of other sites and now you have no space, then obviously you cannot restore that deleted site unless you buy more storage. The storage quota for the SharePoint Online tenancy has not been exceeded. So again, we talked about that for either the site or for the tenancy. Site collection URL must be unique. This means that an active site collection cannot have the same URL as a deleted site collection that is still in the recycle bin. So this is important because as a new administrator, you may come in, you want to create a site, but you get an error saying that the site is not unique. But you don't see the site on the site collection, and it could be that the site is on the recycle bin. So you cannot use the same name even if the site has been deleted. It has to be completely removed out of the recycle bin. So what that means is that if you really need to create a new site and you don't need the one in the recycle bin, obviously you shouldn't because it's in the recycle bin, then you can go ahead and remove it permanently from the recycle bin. Okay. Objective summary for this section. Site collection administrators are users who have permission to manage SharePoint Online at the top of a specified site collection. A site collection administrator has permissions over all content in the site collection, including all subsites. Server resources are a numerical way of representing server resources, including RAM and CPU utilization. each SharePoint Online deployment is allocated a server resource figure based on the number of user licenses. If the number of resources used in a 24-hour period exceeds the resources available, the sandbox turns off and custom code will not run. SharePoint Online public websites is a functionality not available in new Office 365 subscriptions and only available in some existing subscription until March 2017. Office 365 tenancies are allocated an amount of storage space for SharePoint Online based on the number of users associated with the tenancy. You can assign storage quotas on a per site collection basis to limit the amount of storage space consumed by individual site collections. When creating a site collection, you configure the name, URL, primary site collection administrator, template, storage quota, and the server resource quota. And finally, a deleted site collection can be recovered from the recycle bin for 30 days. If more than 30 days, then you need to open a case with Microsoft. Objective review questions. An organization has 40 users associated with its Office 365 tenancy. You're planning allocation for SharePoint Online storage. How much storage space will be allocated to SharePoint Online by default given the number of users? So again, it's in this case is 30 gigabytes. So you basically multiply. This should be D. If it's 40 users, then that means 40 times 10, that should be 40 gigabyte. Yes, so in this case, again, so the answer should be D, not 30. So that's wrong over there. Question number 2, what is the maximum amount of storage that can be allocated to an individual SharePoint Online site collection? And the answer is C, 1 terabyte. You have allocated a 50 gigabyte quota to a SharePoint Online site collection. You want to be notified when 48 gigabyte of the quota has been consumed. Which of the following steps should you take to accomplish this goal? Set the quota warning email threshold to 96%. So 96% basically means the 48 out of the 50. Question 4, which of the following settings cannot be changed after the creation of the site collection? And the answer is the primary language. 5, how long do deleted site collections remain in the recycle bin before they're being purged? And the answer here is B, 30 days. I forgot to mark the answer, but that's it, 30 days. Question number 6, in which of the following cases will you be unable to recover a site collection from the recycle bin? Well, A, the usage quota for the SharePoint Online tenant has been exceeded. The storage quota for the SharePoint Online tenant has been actually, what is this? This is the usage quota. So either the usage quota or the storage quota. And also if the site collection was deleted for more than 50 days. So remember that. So 30 plus 14, that would be 44 days is the maximum. 30 you can do yourself. 14 days you have to call Microsoft. If it's beyond that, it's unrecoverable. How many primary site collection administrators can be assigned to a site collection? And it is only one. Now remember, you can have multiple administrators, but only one primary administrator. And number 8, you want to ensure that the custom code running in a specific site collection doesn't consume all of the CPU and RAM resources allocated to your organization's SharePoint Online tenancy. Which of the following steps would you take to accomplish this goal? And the answer is B, configure a resource quota.